My name is Clara, and I'm 34 years old. I've always believed in love, honesty, and loyalty. For 10 years, I thought I was living my dream with my husband, James. He was my rock, strong, dependable, and full of laughter. Together, we built a life that I thought was unshakable. James and I met when I was 22 and fresh out of college. He was 26, working as a contractor. He was charming, with a smile that could light up a room. We dated for 3 years before we got married. I still remember our wedding day. It was sunny, warm, and full of hope. We now have 2 beautiful daughters, Lily, who is 8, and Mia, who just turned 5. I thought James and I were a team, working together to give our girls the best life possible. But a few months ago, everything changed. I discovered that James, my husband, the father of my children, was cheating on me. It started with little things I didn't notice at first. James began coming home later than usual, blaming it on work. He'd always been hardworking, so I didn't question him. But then, other changes started to creep in. He seemed distracted, spending hours on his phone, always smiling at messages he wouldn't share with me. One evening, as we were watching a movie together, his phone buzzed. He quickly picked it up and said, "Just a work thing." I felt a pang of unease. He had never been so secretive before. I shrugged it off, convincing myself I was imagining things. But the unease didn't go away. One night, he came home smelling of a perfume that wasn't mine. When I asked about it, he laughed and said, "Oh, someone must have sprayed it in the office. Don't worry." That should have been the first red flag, but I brushed it aside. I didn't want to believe anything was wrong. The distance between us grew. James stopped asking me about my day, and our conversations became shallow and mechanical. I tried to reignite the spark by planning a date night. He agreed, but his heart wasn't in it. That night, he barely looked at me over dinner. He kept checking his phone, smiling at something, or someone. I decided to let it go, but deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Then came the night that changed everything. James left his phone on the counter while he went to take a shower. A notification popped up, and I glanced at it. It was a message from someone named Rebecca. It read, "I had such an amazing time last night. Can't wait to see you again." My heart sank. Who was Rebecca? And what amazing time was she talking about? I sat there, staring at the phone, my hands trembling. When James came back into the room, I asked him casually, "Who's Rebecca?" He froze for a moment, then laughed nervously. "Oh, she's just a client. We've been working on some projects together." His answer didn't feel right, but I didn't press him. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing, replaying every moment, every change in his behavior. Was I being paranoid, or was there something more to this? The next day, I decided to check his phone while he was in the shower. My hands shook as I scrolled through his messages. What I found broke me. The texts between James and Rebecca weren't professional. They were intimate, flirty, and unmistakable. One of them read, "You're the best thing that's happened to me in years." Another said, "I wish we didn't have to keep this a secret." I felt like the ground had been pulled out from under me. I didn't confront him right away. I wanted more proof. A week later, James said he had to work late. I decided to follow him. My heart pounded as I trailed his car to a small restaurant. Through the window, I saw him sitting with a woman, a beautiful blonde who looked about my age. They were laughing, leaning close to each other, their hands brushing across the table. Tears streamed down my face as I watched them. I felt like I was outside my own life, looking in. How could this be happening? When James came home that night, I finally confronted him. Who is Rebecca? I asked, my voice trembling. He froze, then sighed. Clara, it's not what you think, he said. Don't lie to me, James. I saw you with her. I saw the messages. How could you do this to me? To our family? He looked away, avoiding my eyes. I didn't mean for this to happen, he said softly. I didn't want to hurt you. Those words shattered me. I had given James everything, my love, my trust, my support. And he had betrayed me. Why, James? I asked, tears streaming down my face. Was I not enough for you? Did I do something wrong? It's not about you, he said. I've been feeling lost. Rebecca was just someone who made me feel alive again. His excuses felt like knives in my heart. How could he feel alive while destroying everything we had built together? That night, I cried harder than I ever had before. I felt like I was drowning in a sea of heartbreak and betrayal. The tension in our home became unbearable. Lily started asking, Mom, why are you and Dad fighting so much? Mia, too young to understand, just looked at me with confused eyes. I tried to shield them from the truth, but the cracks were starting to show. Even my best friend, Sarah, noticed something was wrong. Clara, you look exhausted. What's going on? She asked. When I told her, she was furious. You don't deserve this, Clara. You deserve someone who values you, not someone who betrays you. Her words gave me some comfort, but they didn't erase the pain. I started to question everything I believed about love, trust, and marriage. James says he wants to fix things. He says he's sorry and that Rebecca is out of his life. But I don't know if I can believe him. Every time I look at him, I see the betrayal, the lies, and the pain he caused me. I keep asking myself, why do people cheat? Is it boredom? Insecurity? A need for attention? I may never know the answer, but I've learned one thing. Cheating isn't about the person being cheated on, it's about the one who cheats. It's their weakness, their failure to appreciate what they have. For now, I'm taking it one day at a time. I don't know if James and I have a future, but I know one thing, I deserve better. What about you? Have you ever been cheated on? How did you handle it? I'd love to hear your stories. If this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share. Let us know in the comments, why do you think people cheat in relationships? Your advice could help someone going through the same pain.